Hello students, today I will explain you about the zones of the candle flame. Okay, all of you have, I think all of you have lighted a candle. Correct. So when you have lighted a candle, if you can see properly and carefully, you can see that the candle flame can be divided into three zones. So let us start from the outer zone. Okay. The outer zone is blue. See, the outer zone is blue in color and this is the hottest part of the flame. So, for the candle flame, the hottest part is the outer part of the flame, which is blue in color. Okay, and this gets enough oxygen. This is the outer part of the flame. This gets enough oxygen. This will get sufficient oxygen so that it can burn completely. Okay, so when there is complete burning, what is produced? Carbon dioxide and water. So this zone will emit very little light, right? Then the middle zone, this is yellow in color. The middle zone is yellow in color and is less hot than the outer zone. Here what happens? There is low oxygen. There is incomplete combustion of the wax vapors. Incomplete combustion means due to insufficient oxygen, complete combustion cannot take place. So this incomplete combustion of the vapors takes place. And then it produces what? Carbon particles which glow with yellow color. So this zone is yellow color because the carbon particles glows. And this gives this yellow color. And also along with that, what is produced? Carbon monoxide. And this is the zone which will produce the maximum light. Okay. So the outer zone is blue, the hottest part. The middle zone is yellow, where incomplete combustion take place. And the inner zone, this is a black one, the inner zone is the coolest part of the flame. So here the wax vapors remain unburned because no oxygen is available in this portion. So this zone is completely dark and emits no light because no oxygen is there, so no burning is possible. Right. So we have three zones. What are the zones? The outer zone is blue, middle zone is yellow, and the inner zone is black color because there is no oxygen available. So now if you observe the candle burning, what you can notice? You know this is the wick of the candle. Do you know this is the wick, the thread that is visible from the candle? This is called what? The wick of the candle. So the wick burns. And if you can observe very nicely, you can see there is a liquid wax where this wick stands. This portion, when the candle burns, this portion is filled with the liquid wax. Correct? Yes. And some portion of the wick is unburnt. See, the upper portion is burned and the lower portion is unburnt. Where is this portion? This portion is where the flame is there and the liquid wax is there. This middle portion is unburnt. So here is the liquid wax which is melted. If you can light a candle and see it at home, you can see the liquid wax, the molten wax is trapped inside the cup of the solid wax. Candle is made up of what? The wax, and so this molten wax is there in the cup of the solid wax. But the wax never catches fire. Either the liquid or the solid wax, they will never catch fire. What we can see burning? Which one is burning? The wick of the candle is burning, which is made up of a cotton thread. But is it possible that it is the only thing that is burning? The wick can be the only thing that is burning? Because as the candle burns, as the wick of the candle burns, the candle gets smaller and smaller. So, what is burning? In addition to this wick, what is burning? The vapors of the wax, the vapors that comes out of the wax, that is burning along with this wick. Okay, so which one is the wick? The thread-like structure that is seen emerging out from the center of the candle. Okay. Now if you can do this activity, that is, if a light match is brought a little above the candle wick, if you can bring a lit match in front of the candle wick immediately after the candle is blown out, you immediately blow out the candle and bring a lit match in front of the wick which is immediately blown out, and you can see what the flame from the match jumps the gap and it again reignites the wick. So why this happens? Once again the wick will start to burn. So why this happen? This happens because the wax vapors are continuously rising from the wick. So whenever the wick is blown out, the wax vapors will rise up, and this burning match which you have held in front of the wick, this reignites. Correct. So you can try to do this at home, this experiment or this activity, where you can see that if you take this candle and just blow out and immediately you take a matchstick, then you can see that the wick reignites again. So here from this experiment what we can conclude that the wax vapors that burn, it's only the wax vapors that burn. The liquid wax or the solid wax never burns. When you lit the candle wax, when you lit the wick of the candle, then what happens? The candle, the wax starts to melt. Because of this heat, the wax starts to melt. Then what happens to the wick? This soaks the molten wax. This absorbs the molten wax. Then the molten wax is vaporized. Then the wax vapors burn the flame. This process continues slowly and slowly, and the wax melts until and unless the whole wax is melted and consumed, or if the candle is extinguished, until then this will go on burning. Okay. Now let us come to the topic fuel. Fuel are the substances that is used for burning. Those substances that are used for burning are called what? Fuel. Like wood, coal, cow dung, cakes, kerosene, LPG, petrol and diesel. Do you know cow dung cakes? These are not cakes that we eat. Okay, these are made up of cow dung that is used as what? Fuel for burning, for cooking food. In the villages mainly, these are used in the chulhas for cooking food. So these are called what? Cow dung cakes. So these are the examples: wood, coal, cow dung cakes, kerosene, LPG, petrol, diesel for the examples of the fuel. So why the fuels are used? These are used for what? Cooking, heating. Then it is also used in automobiles and also the generation of electricity. Okay, so what are fuel? Fuel are those that are used for burning. Okay, now there are three types of fuels, like solid, which are wood, charcoal, cow dung cake, coal, etc. Liquid like kerosene, petrol, diesel, fuel oil. And gaseous like petroleum gas, natural gas, biogas. These are all what? These are all gaseous type of fuel. Okay. So this part I think it's clear that fuel are those substances that are used for burning. Next we come to the characteristic features of the fuel. Number one is the calorific value. What is this calorific value? This is the heat produced, which is measured in kilojoules. When 1 gram of fuel is burned completely, you can see the terms heat produced in kilojoules when 1 gram of fuel is burned completely. When 1 gram of fuel is burned completely, then that amount of heat produced is measured in kilojoules per gram. That is called the calorific value. The high the calorific value, the higher the calorific value, the better the fuel. Okay, the fuel that is having the high calorific value is better fuel. Next characteristic feature is the efficiency of the fuel. Efficiency means how efficiently it can use its own energy to burn something. So no fuel is 100% efficient because some of the energy is always wasted while burning. Okay, in every fuel some of the energy is wasted while burning, so no fuel is 100% efficient. No fuel is 100% efficient. We cannot say that this fuel is 100% efficient. No. Okay, so what are the important characteristic features of an efficient fuel? Is number one is high calorific value. If the fuel is having high calorific value, then we can say that this is a very good fuel or ideal fuel. The ignition temperature should be low. Already we have discussed about the ignition temperature. This is what the minimum temperature that is required for something to burn. So this should be low. The heat that should be released in a controlled way. The fuel should be cheap and easily available. It should be safe to handle. It should be safe to store and transport also. And also, very important point to be noticed, that fuel should be non-polluting. It should not cause pollution when it is in use. So, ideal fuel should be having high calorific value. This is a very important point. It should not cause any pollution, and also heat should be produced in controlled way. It should be cheap and easily available. Okay, so now we will discuss about some of the important fuels. Like you can see here, hydrogen, this can be called as the best fuel because of its highest calorific value, which is about 150 kilojoules per gram. This is highly inflammable, which is very dangerous, and it is having difficulties to handle, store and transport of this hydrogen because of its high inflammability. So this hydrogen fuel can be used whenever it is absolutely necessary, like in the rocket fuel. Okay, always and everyday use of hydrogen fuel is not accepted because it is highly inflammable, and there are difficulties in transporting, handling and storing this hydrogen. Okay, next is methane or LPG. This is a fairly high calorific value. When they are put on fire, they are smokeless, they don't produce smoke, so no pollution, and they can be easily stored. This LPG and methane can be easily stored and can be transported from one place to another by pipelines or by LPG by cylinders. Okay, so by pipelines or cylinders it can be easily transported also. So this is ideal for the domestic fuel. Okay, and the next type of fuel is petrol and diesel, which is having a disadvantage because they are limited availability and they always release what? Harmful gases. So they are used mainly in the automobiles. Okay, so these are the three types of fuel that we have discussed. The fuel is the hydrogen, methane and LPG as fuel, and petrol and diesel as fuel. Now we will discuss some of the fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are what? These are formed from the buried remains of plants and animals. Millions of years ago, when plants and animals were dead, they were buried under the ground, and these fossil fuels are formed from the burying of the remains of the plants and animals. But millions of years ago, it cannot form in a day. So it will take millions of years to form. Like for example, coal, petroleum, natural gas, these are called what? These are obtained from the nature. So they are referred to as what? Natural resources. Clear? So what are these fossil fuels? These fossil fuels are those that are obtained from the buried remains of plants and animals. Now there are two types of this type of natural resources. What are these? Inexhaustible, which is limitless supply of this, and exhaustible, that is having the limited supply. Okay, so what are the different types of natural resources? Some of the resources have limitless supplies because from nature, from the sun, from air we get these sources, and the supply is limitless. We can use maximum. But exhaustible is limited supply, like the forest, like the wildlife, like the fossil fuels. They are having limited supply. So these are called what? Exhaustible. At one point of time they will be all exhausted. Clear? So today we have discussed up to this. In the next class we will discuss about the other part of the chapter, like coal, petroleum and natural gas.